Hello, this is Angelique. So you're going to be painting with Angelique today. We're going to continue on with this painting of this ravine in Tillsonburg. I have my pigments over here for now. Probably place them there. I put my pigments, so I'm using ultramarine blue. I'm using brown umber, this one, burnt umber, sap green, and yellow ochre. So I have those colors. I do have orange, cadmium orange in the middle, but I'm not too sure if I'm going to use it. So I'm going to start off with, okay, so what we did in the first video was draw our drawing and then do large scale sections of color. Okay, so in the rocks, I know I went in and did a little more detail work. So I'm going to start working on, I believe I'm going to start working on the background here, this part of the background. So it is, I'm just zooming in on my picture here. It is on the dark side of the green. It would be more of a blue green. So I'm getting my sap green. I'm going to put it in this section here. I'm going to use that as my basic green. And then get a little bit of brown, blue, and just darken that green. I think that should be fine. My little test paper. Yeah, I like that because I can go darker after that, right? As well. But I do like that tone. Okay, got a little bit of water in my brush, pick up some pigment and start adding a layer of this color just right across. And the lighter, the transparent the color, the better for me, due to the fact that I'm going to be adding more tones. I'm going to water these edges here. So if you see what I did, I'm just adding water to the areas where I want it to be more graded. Hey, Henry.
Hi.
I'm making dinner. Do you have karate tonight?
No.
Okay, good.
I had karate yesterday. What's for dinner?
I'm gonna make potatoes and chips. Okay, so are you gonna go in your room?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm recording. Okay. Okay, so I had some technical difficulties when I was filming at the wrong time. So I'm just gonna talk about what I did here. So in the back, I added a layer of green, which was the sap green mixed with a little bit of the blue umber. And then I went a little darker. And then I added the yellow here to darken these areas. And it was yellow ochre with a little bit of brown. And then I went into my blue umber with gray, added this section here to create the river, right, the stream. And at this moment, I am adding my dark shades to these areas here because I want to create them in the 3D effect right now, right? So just a quick sketch of the stones where the shade part is. And if the water starts to blend together, that's fine because I'm gonna add more detail work in a second. Now, when you're doing your stonework or whatever painting you're doing, you want to make sure that okay, so what I'm going to do quickly, because I got to really let this dry, I'm going to start adding the shadows of the trees that are reflecting in the background onto the water. So I'm just going to lightly start adding those dark tones in these areas. I am going to go back in and add more dark tones, but because I just want to add that in here, because it's going to be the same, right? There we go. And some in there. Because there is some dark tones in yellow because it is reflecting the bushes. That's going to be in certain areas. Right? And down this way. So now we're going to just let this dry. And then once it's completely dry, I'm going to come back and we're going to finish because it really needs to dry up. Okay, hello. Now that it's completely dry, I am going to start working in this section here. I made some, to see how it looked like some colors and marks, to see how it looked like in that ochre background. So the it's more, the shrubs in the background have no leaves, so it's more sticks, right? So I made this color here because they're in the gray brown tones, because it's fall. I'm just gonna start from this section here and start putting lines to indicate the branches. And I'm going to do that all throughout this whole section. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. And of course, you know, branches go all over the place. Because it's so blurry, I can't really see it. I'm using my hairbrush. So I just want an indication of these guys here going down, branches. Do you see how I'm just adding the texture to that area? And I'm just lightly adding, just doing strokes. And as it's drying lighter. You could see the drawing there, how it's drying. So once this is done, we're going to start working on the pebbles. So I'm going to do this section here and all this section here. I am doing the one that's closer to the eye. So the brushes are going to be thicker in this area because it's closer to you. Longer branches and connecting them so they indicate that it's a bush, because right now it kind of looks like grass. So I'm going to do that all throughout the whole section here. Start adding these long strokes that connect and disappear. And as you see it drying, you will see that some lines have more depth of color to it than others. And others don't. There we go. So I will let this part dry I'm going to start working on another section. And if I need more, I could always add more, right? So I'm going to start working over here, add those lines here. And if you hear the noise in the background, that's just, I'm doing some washing sheets and clothing and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's really nice having electric washers, washing machines, right? Frees you up to do a lot of other stuff. And I've just noticed there's rocks in here, which those are pebbles and rocks. And I really like what's going on with this color right now. It's kind of disappearing there in the background, which is really good because that's what you want. As things get further away, they disappear. There's some grass there, that there. So now I'm going to go in and add some twigs. Go. And I'll wait until that dries so I can add more twigs. So now I'm going to work on this background section here. I'm going to use that same color to indicate most of the trees back there because it is very like a lot of sticks. So I'm just going to use my thin brush and just go up those lines. That's one major tree there, and then there's a lot of other ones. And see, what's nice about watercolor is I could always go back, right? So this color is more like a green gray. Right? Trust the madness, you know? I know it doesn't look like much now, but as I keep on adding my layers, it will come together. So a lot more here too. Right? You know, it's so fantastic the way how a tree just drops its seed, just starts growing, right? And if you notice how I'm holding my brush, I'm just doing flicks from my fingers. Some trees come down further. There we go. There's a tree here. There's a tree there. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry. So now I'm gonna start working on some bushes coming across this way behind that tree, and then there's rocks, some sort of rock foliage. I'm gonna start working on these guys here. I have a tree coming up this way, but just want to indicate my foliage before I move on. Okay, so I had to make more of my gray tone. I'm gonna start doing the pebble, the pebbles in this section here. Start creating some shades to create the shape of the pebbles. Okay, so I'm just going around. I'm going to use that same shade to put the rocks that are going across this way, right? And I have to do this section by section because I don't want the water to bleed with each other. So I want whatever I'm doing right now to dry, right? As you can see, it's already started bleeding there, so. And I'm just gonna create some shape there. And then on this section here, start to do some shades of pebbles, more like rocks, just hitting the shore right here, right? So again, as things get further away from you, they get smaller and lighter, right, in tone, and things get closer to you, they get darker, right? So this will lighten up quite a bit. As you can see, it's over there lightening up. And I'm gonna have to go over some of these guys in this section here, right? Now there's a rock right here. I'm just gonna indicate the shadow, the rock, spread that out. And then there's another rock here, which I didn't indicate the shadow before, so I'm gonna do that now. Okay. I'm gonna have to go over that again because the pigment is very light. There's a couple of rocks here. Because there is shadow on the rock and on the water, right? So the rock has its shadow, and then the water casts a shadow. That's why I have that shadow there that I did earlier. If you remember when I did the wash. These rocks, kind of like that. Okay. There's another one there. Now I'm going to start indicating bigger boulders here. I know I didn't draw them before, but I can see them in the photo. It's a big rock here. See, there's so many trees here, it's hard to see those rocks, so I have to kind of imagine what's happening in this section here. Because these trees go up. Now there's some round boulders here. Another jagged one here. So I'm basically just drawing out with my brush the rocks in this area here. I'm gonna have to go back in and create those shadows in here. I'm gonna use this color just to darken them. You see how that turns out there. And there's some pebbles here, and then a lot of foliage over there. So I'm just gonna indicate that. That is still not dry. You just take your time with them. You don't have to rush anything. So there's some pebbles that are coming out this way, this section. I'm just gonna add that shadow there. And then there's more coming up this way, because this kind of looks stagnant. So I'm just gonna change the shapes. There we go. Add a bigger boulder there. In this section I can't see very well because there's a lot of foliage coming into the water in this section. But I know there's rocks back there, so I will just have the indication of that. Now, if you notice, the foliage has dried and it is quite late, right? So that's how I want to keep it. I'm just gonna go back in and start adding some of that foliage that is close to the rocks. Some more branches. There we go. And I apologize for the sound in the background, but it is what it is, right? That looks quite nice. We add some in here. These are going to be very thin, but now, when I studied history, like I started painting, like I started drawing when I was young. Like that was my forte. And I really started getting into arts when my grandfather was visiting from Argentina. And he kind of influenced me to continue on. The first painting I ever did, I was very much influenced by Bob Ross, and I know my grandfather watched him with me. We watched him together. And he did a lot of landscapes, right? We all know Bob Ross. We know about his story, the things that happened, you know, when he was dying, and, you know, that's just bad. But if you haven't seen that documentary, you should see it. It's actually pretty profound. The things that people will do, right? But anyways, as I was saying, I remember my grandfather was like guiding me when I was doing my painting. My son has it in his room now because he really likes it, but I'm like, it's okay. It's my first one that I did when I was 14. Then, you know, I used it to get into Central Tech Art School, right? So I used that one, and my grandfather was very proud that I got in, right? And as we were going into the interview, right, there was a kid smoking weed right in front of the steps, right? My grandfather didn't say anything. I don't know if he knew what weed was. I have no idea, right? I didn't know it. To me, I remember mentioning to my grandfather that it smelled like skunk, right? And he was laughing. So maybe he did know, because I didn't know at 14 or 16, whatever it was, whatever age I was, right? I didn't know. But it's all right, you know. But getting back to the story, you know, my grandfather's like, oh, you do this here and you do that there. You use this brush here. And because I had no, like, he basically gave me my formal training, right? Because he did a lot of sculpture work himself. He was more into that. He studied topographical maps. He did that, drawings for that. Because back in the day, they had no computers, right? Everything now is done on computers. And he would, with my mother, because my mother studied piano, right? And he drew all in her books. For some reason, they had to have piano books of everything, like everything that she studied. They had to have copies of that, right? And he would do these beautiful drawings of females, like they kind of had like a Romanesque style to them, right? With things going around like bookcases and all that. Very beautiful work. They're still there. One of my cousins has them in Argentina, right? You know, and I remember looking at that when I was a kid. I was like 11 years old. Oh my God, I'm never gonna draw like that. But I practiced and practiced and practiced, and I did, right? Just trying to get some of the yellow ochre back in here. Make some more, get some of that color. There we go. I should be using a bigger brush than this. I'm gonna go use with my, there we go. There we go. Touch of green, more of this color. There we go. Nope, that one looks better. Let's do green, but just gonna quickly go over these shades here. Just want to emphasize the shades. There we go. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this completely dry. I'm going to go back and I'm going to start working on this background again, right? It's still kind of wet. I can feel it. And I want to get this background done, and then I want to start working on this section here, right? Because there's branches that I can see coming through that tree, but there's so many trees just going this way, you know? Okay. My cerulean blue. I want to do that sky. Just add some more pigment. Water that down. Just add, now I need to zoom in to see. Yeah, you don't see much, but I am just adding pigment. That's all I'm doing in this section because you don't see much, right? I'm just gonna blend it right across everything and leave it like that and let that dry. Here, there is this dark tone coming around this way. I'm just gonna add that dark tone. And then there's that light tone going this way. I'm just gonna add that light tone. Let the brushes do what it needs to do in that section because it's really complicated, a lot of trees and all that. So I'm just gonna look at it as a basic color tone area. Some brown. My gray tone color, I think that one's gonna be better. There we go. There we go. There we go. I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. Let that dry and then start adding some leaves, some trees. Because the way how this goes, there is a slope down this way with rocks. So I just want to indicate that here. It will help me visualize what I'm going to do next. There we go, lighten those up. now to address this part here, there is a dark tone that's going this way because it's so dense with trees. I'm going to add a wash right here to indicate that. Water this part down. There we go. So it's not so much of a harsh line. There we go. I'm gonna leave it like that. So before I go any further, I just want to let you know that I added more dark tone here of that blue, cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, sorry, with the brown umber, just to indicate that it's going that way, the distance. So I'm going to clean my brush as well as I can, and I'm going to pick up, there we go, see that? Just pushing it upwards. Right now I am making yellow ochre with my, there we go. Yellow ochre with my brown umber, burnt umber. Gonna make the color of my trees. Because my trees are not completely dark brown, because they are hitting the light quite a bit, and I believe they're more birch trees. They're not birchy, but they're in the beige tones, right? Just gonna check my color. There we go. More. This color here. There we go. Let's check my color again. That's a little better. So with my larger brush, I'm just gonna start indicating where that tree is here. And then this one here comes out this way. And there's some thinner ones. It's like one tree that has, there we go. There's more thin ones back here. See, it's just so full of trees, right? There we go. The main one is going to be this one here. So I'll just make sure he's nicely indicated. Goes up this way and right off the page. There we go. Then he has a little border coming out this way. Going right across. Okay. So if you've noticed in this video, I'm adding washes. Now I'm adding more detail to it, right? So I don't lose my original lines that I had here. I still got to work on that background because there's a pine tree I can see back there. And I'll probably start adding him in now because he is quite dark. I'll start doing, he needs to be darker. So I need to have some more of that. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Now, I wet that section there, and I'm adding more pigment. I'm pulling and pushing, just letting the watercolor do what it wants to do there. No more pine trees. There is one right there, a really close one, but it's a lighter green. It's more of this sap green. Where's that sap green? There we go. So I will add him right now. It's just sections of color. And then he has a dark kind of but it's behind that tree, right? So leave it there. Okay, so this tree has quite of a dark bark coming down this way here. So I'm gonna get my burnt umber and blue and get it as dark as possible. Just start adding that line. There's another tree coming up this way here. So I'm gonna add that right now. And this guy disappears because there's another bush here at the front here. And this one goes kind of up over here. There we go. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to start adding a dark color into these trees here. Go right across there. One swoop. There we go. I'm leaving the best for last, this section here. I just want to deal with the background there. All right. So I'm going to let it dry and I'm going to come back to it. So it's dry now. I like what the sky is doing in the background green, but my area of concern at the moment is all these sticks back here. I need to go in with another brush. I need to go in with my thin brush again and start adding some other trees that are different thicknesses. And I'm going to go in with my brown here and some of my greens and just start adding more, because it looks too, what could I say? Not finished, right? So the more lines I add, the more density you'll see, right? And because they're far away, you can't see how thick they are, and because they're so dense, right? And what I mean by dense is that there's a lot of them, right? You probably seen the first video where you saw the photo of it, and the photo really indicated the density of those trees, right? Go. And I'm switching between two colors, the brown and that greeny color, beige color. Right? And the trees are birthed right there. And that's what I need to do. Right? So, I'm gonna add some thicker ones in the foreground. I mean, you know how they say we live in the sticks? This is literally the sticks, right? And as I'm doing it per layer, you can actually see the visual perspective that I'm creating with these two different colors, right? And this has to be done all throughout. Right, I think I will just concentrate it in this area here. So it actually makes your eye focus in a direction of get some more of that green. There we go. Yellow ochre. There we go. More. I have to get my bigger brush and mix that color up again. There we go. Green. There we go. Okay. My browns. And I'm sneaking my way towards the bottom here. Right? There you go. There we go. Okay. Let that dry, take a look at it. I think I should add some up here to indicate the lines there. Just a little bit on the separational side. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to re-examine. I did use my dryer to dry it fast. I do like what's going on there. I want to fix this section here. So I want to concentrate on this bark right here. So I'm going to go in with my my green and start adding some of that kind of green yellow into this area here, because it is hitting it, the sun is hitting that section pretty bright. So that color is going to be popping. Just going to go right up there. And it does go straight up that way too, because I didn't finish it last time. Go. I'm just going to add more pigment. Now, because it's a layer upon a layer, I just had to emphasize the color here so you don't see the other layers in the back, right? Just letting it do what it wants to do, right? That look like a tree or what? Now, it does have a split off this way here, which I'm going to add right now. There we go. There's another split there, and this one that goes up that way. There we go. I'm not going to add all the branches. Okay, so this one here is the dark one. I'm just going to... There we go. Yeah. It does go off the page. I'm gonna add those lines that I have from before to indicate that they're trees instead of pencil lines. So I'm mixing two colors together to get that green dark tone, because they are sitting in front of the pine tree and behind the pine tree. So if you noticed, I am concentrating more on the background so I can have the background done in a way, because background is not going to be completely full of detail. This section here is going to be completely full of detail, right? This tree, this bush here, the rocks, that's going to have more detail. Because as things get in further away, they get lighter, right? And smaller. There we go. Do this line here. There's one stick. There's another stick. There we go. There's a lot of sticks this way here. Okay, there we go. Let that dry. And I believe for the second one, we are completely done. For the second part of the video, I will post this up. You know what, before I do that, there's one more section I want to do, because you can see a little bit of the bark on this one coming in and out. So I just want to indicate that in here. So I will be continuing to do this video after I've uploaded this one, for the reason that I'm going to be really busy in the next couple of weeks. I have a Christmas art show that I'm going to be participating in November 24th, which is the day before our next class. So I want to have this, I'm not too sure, I want to have this somewhat finished before our next class, so I can concentrate with you guys in class on your projects for your landscape that you're doing. So, because I am really jonesing to finish this off, right? Like, it's in my guts. I want to finish it. Like, I really want to continue doing this. Right. Just adding some darkness there. There we go. There we go. You know, if you looked at this section right here, that one looks like a little person abstract. Anyways, I will see you in the next video, and happy painting.